Book lovers, I hope that everybody is doing well and fantastic. Today, I wanted to talk about the books that I have read in May. And Simba, where are you going? Today, I wanted to talk about the books that I have read in May. I know this is crazy, but I read 6 books. I got them right here. So I wanted to talk about the books that I have read and the rating that I gave them. Before that, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and also to follow on my other social media as well. I'm going to put them in the description below. So let's get right into it. The first book that I read in May is this one, The Great Alone by Christine Hanna. We follow this family, Lenny, who is a 13-year-old girl, Cora, who is the mother, and Ern, who came back from the Vietnam War. This is a very normal family, but since Ern came back from the Vietnam War, their whole lives turn upside down and create this very vicious cycle of domestic violence. And it was a very dark era for this family, but a friend of him died from the Vietnam War, so he granted Ern a piece of land in Alaska. So they saw that as an opportunity to go over there and start over. And since they got in Alaska, the weather is very challenging in Alaska, but since they arrived there, they don't have the challenge of the weather of Alaska, but also the challenge of Earth, because the demons come back to him and they have to survive Lenny and Cora by themselves. And I gave this book 5 stars. I love this book so much. Ernst got me very angry with him. And I know that this character is very damaged in the head because of war, and he wasn't getting the help to, overcome his traumas. But I think that he was the antagonist of this book, but I wasn't. I was feeling a little bit guilty, hating him, but he was, sometimes he gets me very mad. And Cora, I understand her because she was in this domestic violence and it was very hard to get out. And in that year, 1974, the woman wasn't getting her rights, I would say, and she wasn't getting the help necessary as well. But I love Lenny so much. This is a very powerful character and I love her. And the relationship between Matthew and Lenny got me. It was very heartbreaking, very beautiful, very tragic, but I was rooting for them. I was crying with them, and I love this so much. And I love the second characters, that Mr. Walker and Large March. I love her so much. She was so funny, but I think that she was the guardian angel of Cora and Lenny. That's why I love her so much. So please check this book out, Christine Hanna, The Great Alone. And I bought The Nightingale and The Woman of Christine Hanna because I know that since I read this book, I'm going to love more of her books. So I get this book 5 stars. It was amazing. The second book that I read this month is this one, A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. We follow the main character, Effie. She always wanted to go to literature class, but women aren't allowed there. So she decided to go architecture class. And she's failing in this class. But her favorite author just died. And there's this competition, I would say, to create a sketch for the estate that he was living. And she suddenly won that contest. But since she arrived there, there's another student in there, Preston, who is studying the author as well, but he wants to prove that he was a farce. So Effie and Preston has to unite themselves to discover the mystery and the dark secrets that this state has for them. And I gave this book 3.7 in 5 stars. And this book, I read it in my first reading blog. So if you haven't seen it, I'm going to put it in here or in the description below as well, so you can see my reaction while I was reading this book. It was a very quick and very fun fantasy book, I would say. It wasn't something I would say, oh my God, I love this book so much and I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. But it was very entertaining. There's a lot of mystery and a horror subplot as well. This book got me the feeling of the House of Roots and Ruin of Erin A. Craig. I love that book so much. But this book, it got me the similar vibes, I would say. But it wasn't something that, oh my God, it was crazy. I will remember this book for the rest of my life. It wasn't like that, but it was really entertaining. And there, I created a theory for this book when I was reading it, and I suddenly and very surprisingly, I was correct for my theory, and I was giggling. I was kicking my feet so much and laughing because oh my god, I got it so right. So if you like mystery and horror subplot, but a little bit with fantasy as well, please check this book out, Study in Drowning, because I recommend this book. It was amazing. I really like it. The third book that I read this month is this one, Listen for the Light by Amy Tintera. Lucy and Savi were best friends, but in one night, Savi was brutally murdered, and the last person who was with her was Lucy, and everybody was saying that Lucy murdered her best friend. So Lucy had to move on with her life because she didn't remember what happened in that night. So she moved on with her life. But many years later, since that murder, a podcaster that the title is Listen for the Light, Ben Owens, decided to investigate Savi's murder to discover who really murdered Savi. And Lucy had to return to her hometown to help Ben Owens to discover who murdered Savi and why. I rate this book 3.85 stars. And listen to me, I really like this book, and this book is also in my reading blog as well, you're going to see my first reaction reading this book. But in this book, it was almost similar to None of This Is True by Lisa Jugo, because it have scenes similar to podcasts. And if you want to listen for the audiobook, please check the audiobook because it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it, the audiobook. But I really enjoyed this book, but there were many elements for this book to not enjoy it. The first one is that the plot twist, it was building itself, so you can predict that was going to happen, and it did happen. So that was a turn off for me. I didn't really like it. But also there was a lot of cheating in this book. It was crazy. It was very crazy. I would call the podcast the cheating podcast because it was spilling all the tea, and sometimes the murder itself was getting a little bit lost. So that's why I didn't like it. But it was a very quick, very entertaining thriller book. So if you like this book, please check it out. But for me, that's why I gave this book 3.85 stars. I was hoping to give this book 4 stars, but it didn't get there for that. And Lucy, sometimes she pisses me off so much. Oh my god, because she was very dumb sometimes, and I was very mad at her. That's why I didn't give this book more than 4 stars. So that's why I gave this book 3.85 stars. But it was entertaining. I really like it. So check it out. The fourth book that I read this month is this one, Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Seven. This is on my reading blog as well. But we follow this friendship between Sam and Sadie, how it started in a hospital, and the thing that connect their friendship, which are gaming. That's the thing that gave them to develop their friendship. But something happened and they lost communication. But many years later, Sam encountered Sadie in a train station, so he decided to propose Sadie to make a video game together. So she said yes, and we followed their friendship reunited again and how their friendship is developed during the years. And I gave this book 4 stars. I was hoping to give this book 5 stars, but it didn't get there. Sometimes I was feeling kind of bored, but I really enjoyed this book. And sometimes the story gets a little bit repetitive because they created a game, there's some drama in it, and that was a turn off for me. And sometimes Sadie pisses me off a little bit, but overall I really enjoyed it, the friendship between Sam, Sadie, and Mark. And their characters felt very raw, very flawed. So that's why I gave this book 4 stars. But it wasn't something that I would say, oh my god, this is so crazy. And I really loved the game thing on this book. I really enjoyed it because I really enjoy video games as well. I don't play so much as before, but I really enjoyed this book. So yes, I give this book 4 stars. I really wanted to rate this book higher, but it didn't get there. So I'm really sorry. I really am. For everyone who enjoyed this book, I really am sorry. So the 5th book that I read this month is this one, King of Greed by Ana Juan. This is the 3rd book of the King of Sea series. We follow this couple, Dominic and Alessandra. They have been married for almost 10 years. But in the recent years, things have been a little bit wrong in the marriage. And Alessandra said, I had enough. I want a divorce. So he asked Dominic for our divorce. And since they have been divorced, Dominic is going to do everything he can to regain the love of Alessandra. And I get this book 3.85 stars. I really enjoyed this book. I was to say that I was obsessed with it. Of course, I was obsessed with Dominic, and he was stalking Alessandra. And I know that it's a crime, but I didn't mind about that because he's a billionaire. Because if he wasn't a billionaire, I was going to get a restraining order for the police. But I really enjoyed this book. But I was to say, oh my God, I'm obsessed with it. But I really had a great time reading this book. So if you like it, read this book because I really enjoyed it. I really did. The sixth book that I read this month is this one, All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers. There has been a murder, and I'm going to read it because I wanted to be correct in my pronunciation. It's called Wakarusa, Indiana. January Jacobs was brutally murdered, and she was the best friend of Margot Robbins, who is the main character in this book. And Margot, she went on with her life, but she had to return to her hometown because his uncle is developing some dementia signs. So she decided to go over there and take care of his uncle. But when she arrived there, another girl went missing. But she's a reporter, and she wanted to discover the mystery of the disappearance of that girl and the person who killed January Jacobs. That's all I'm going to say about this book, because with thriller books, it's best to give a little information as possible so you can pick your interest and pick the book. I get this book 4.85 stars because it was such an amazing thriller book. I didn't expect that I was going to love this book as much as I did. I read this book in one sitting, and let me tell you, this book got me on my nerves in the edge of the bed, in this bed. I was reading in that corner of the bed, and I was on my nerves. I was terrified. If this book were a movie, I would call this a horror movie because I was so terrified and I was on my nerves and the edge on the fucking bed. But this book is amazing. The reason I didn't give this book 5 stars is because ¿cómo lo puedo decir? Ok, deja cómo lo explico. I don't want to spoil. No lo voy a spoilear. No lo voy a decir. But there was a piece of information that I think that the author wanted to distract you with that. So when it hit you with the plot twist, it got you very hard, and it did got me. But I think that information wasn't necessary in this book. I think that without that, the book, it was going to be amazing. I would give this book 5 stars, but because of that, that's why I did it. I didn't give this book 5 stars, but so far I really enjoyed this book. If you're a thriller fan, please check this book out. And I wish that many people will talk about this book because it was amazing. The final part, I didn't expect that. Let me tell you, I didn't expect that. And that final part, you will be shocked. Let me tell you, you will be shocked. I'm going to say you in advance, you will be shocked by this book. So please check this book out, All Good People Here by Ashley Flower. It was amazing. I love this so much. So yeah, excuse me for my awkward pose, but these are the books that I read in May. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments below if you had read one of this book and what are your opinions of it. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow on my other social media in the description as well. So happy reading, guys. Bye bye.